Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 1998 Toyota Camry. Up front is a 2.2 liter inline 4, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Camry for many reasons, but the main fact is this fills a gap in my Camry video archive. I filmed a 1989 Camry, and I've filmed modern Camrys like this, and this, but I haven't driven a stock version of this Camry before. I have technically driven this generation of Camry, but it was over 5 years ago. It was a completely stripped out, manual swapped race car with a full cage and removed interior. It had no windows, and I was so freezing that I wore a muscle suit to stay warm because it was the only thing I had in the trunk of my car. So today we are going to give the XV20 generation of Camry a proper review. But before we get on to anything else, if you would like your car reviewed in a video similar to this one, you can head over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. But let's get back to that 2.2 liter under the hood. There was a 4-cylinder option and a 6-cylinder option in this generation of Camry. Now this is the lower end base model engine, the 2.2 liter, and it makes about 130 horsepower, maybe. It's not a whole lot, but what it is efficient and reliable. We saw this engine here on the channel also in the older Toyota Celicas, in case you're wondering where you've seen it before. When you put your foot into it, nothing happens, but that's what I would expect out of a Camry. I don't expect it to be a rocket ship or a race car. It sips on gas, it's nice and efficient, even by today's standards, which is glorious to see. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 4-speed automatic. They were only offered in 4-speed automatics, or you could get a manual, which was a 5-speed. However, very, very rare. Most of these cars are going to be 4 speeds. Now, there were 2 different 4-speed automatics offered, but we don't need to get into those differences. Last but not least, this particular Camry is, of course, front-wheel drive. So how does it feel to actually drive the Toyota Camry? Well, it's a nice driving experience, really. There's a decent amount of road feel. Visibility is pretty good, although this car does have tinted windows. Visibility is actually really good, and it feels light and agile. The race car that I drove felt light and agile as well, but I kind of attributed that to it having no interior or glass. I'm happy to report that even the stock version feels nimble enough on its feet. It doesn't feel large. It actually feels very, very manageable, and I really like that driving sensation that I get behind the wheel of the Camry. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 main gauges. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and fuel. In the center is my speedometer, and off to the right is the tachometer. On the steering wheel, I don't get any forward-facing buttons besides a little stalk for my cruise control, and this is very, very typical Toyota of the 1990s. Bland, basic, yet functional. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, as well as my power mirror switches, gauge dimmer switches, and my security. I do also have a little coin holder down below that. Moving on to the door, we have our lock and unlock, window locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch. And then, of course, the radio has been swapped out because most radios from the 1990s don't hold up with modern tech, and it's something easy to swap out to make life a lot better. Then we do have the climate controls. This AC still blows ice cold here 25 years later, and the controls are very, very simple. Fan speed off to the left, temperature in the middle, where to send it off to the right. Then we do have a 12-volt outlet and ashtray. Another 12-volt outlet right below where a cigarette lighter would go. A little open cubby, and then the shifter itself. I've seen this shifter in so many Toyota products. It feels like a sibling at this point. And overall, I like it. It still functions. It's a great little shifter. Then we do have little cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 98 Camry. And unfortunately, it fails. To be expected just by looking at it. And this was before the era of giant cup holders, of which the big friggin' bottle really makes a name for itself. So, although expected, still a little sad that it fails the big friggin' bottle test. Then we do get a center console and the seats. Now these seats are leather, which is a nice added upgrade over the base cloth seats that you would have gotten at the very, very base. So definitely nice to see. They're cushy, enjoyable, and pleasant. And that's all I expect out of my Toyota Camry seats. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 1998 Toyota Camry, and a couple of things to note. First of all, the seat does curve back towards you, so you have less room in the chest area, but more room in the leg area, which is really, really nice. Of course, the leather does carry on back here. It's very, very squishy and very, very bouncy, which I tend to like to see in older cars like this. I do have a center console, which is just a giant foam brick, and I have little pop-out cup holders down below. But besides that, it's just cool and fun to be in the back seat of a 98 Camry. How many of my friends and family went to school back here, went to work back here? This was kind of an everyman's car, and that shouldn't be a surprise with the Camry, but seeing one, driving one, and experiencing one in such good condition 25 years after it came out, well, that's just cool. I feel like I'm in a time capsule, you know? This was a pre-2000s car. The internet was still a very new, very, very foreign thing. How many kids back here were probably like, Dad, it's called a .com. You know? I know the .com boom was in 94, but still, I mean, like, conversations like that were had. News about September 11th was probably played through these speakers. News of Hurricane Katrina in 2005 were played through these speakers. That, to me, is so cool, and that's the historical events that I grew up with. And to know that they were listened and experienced here, too, I feel like I almost have a sort of commonality with the Camry, if that makes sense. So that's how I feel sitting back here. But let's hop in the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the 98 Camry. Come up here with the key and pop it open like that. Plenty of space in the back of the Camry. I mean, so much flipping space. Now, I don't get anything cool, unique, or special back here, but it is very, very large and very common of this era to have large trunks like this, and boy, do I miss it. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and it is hearing aid tan. It's not quite the looker, and I have to say, this isn't quite my favorite generation of 90s Camry. I prefer the version that came right before it, for the sole reason that one of my best friends growing up had one, so we grew up together in that car. So I don't really have that same personal nostalgia that I do with this car as I did that car. However, as we'll talk about with the final thoughts, I do miss seeing these around. I do like how it is kind of boxy, yet also curvy at the same time. I think it walks that fine line. And at the end of the day, it's just cool and interesting to be driving an older Camry in such good condition like this one. But now, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a completely put together 1998 Toyota Camry? Well, I have to say, like I mentioned with the exterior, I don't have a lot of personal nostalgia with a vehicle like this. The previous gen I do, but this I don't. However, this was a very, very common sight in my high school. These cars were about 10 years old when I was going to high school. And so that was right in the range of parents buying their kids a hand-me-down car or giving them the hand-me-down car, or kids who had a minimum wage job could afford something like this 10 years after they came out. So these were a really, really common sight when I was growing up, and yet I've seen them slowly but surely disappear from our roads. That is sad. And so to me, this car really embodies squirt soda. Now follow me here, and let's put our mature hats on for a second while saying it. Squirt soda is no one's favorite soda. No one goes out and buys a 12-pack of Squirt to keep at the house. You just don't. But when you see it offered in a vending machine, you see it offered at a dugout hot dog stand at the baseball stadium, it puts a smile on your face. That's how I feel about this generation of Camry. I don't actively seek it out. I don't have friends that are buying or collecting these often. The owner, William, bought this off of his old boss because he wanted a daily driver for the winter. He wasn't seeking a 98 Camry. He wasn't fiending over it. He didn't have a poster on his wall of it. But it's a solution to a problem that many people face. This is the perfect answer to transportation when you need it, hands down. This is good, solid transportation, much like a cold squirt soda quenches your thirst and lust for a soda pop on a hot day. Might not be your first pick, but it's one of the most solid picks you can make. And boy, has there never been a more solid pick. This is where Toyota reliability was nearly at its strongest. If Toyota reliability in this era was a superhero, it would be picking up buildings and moving planets. I'm comfortable enough in here. I have the nice leather seats, the climate controls work great, and you know what? On a day like today, it's keeping me dry and warm, which is all I can ask an automobile to do at the moment. It's solid, it's functional, and while it might not be your first pick, just like Squirt Soda, it might be one of the best. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to William for letting me take out his 98 Camry. I was so excited to check this generation of Camry off my list of stock Camry reviews. He is absolutely awesome. I cannot thank him enough. I've reviewed several of his vehicles. He's so cool and easy to work with. I look forward to filming with him every time. Oh, and I'm not going to link the race car Camry video at the end of this one because I don't think it's a very good video, being it's so old. However, if you do go find it on my channel, leave a comment. Just leave the word squirt as a comment on that video, and I'll know that you saw this video first. That'll be our fun little Easter egg. So if you want to go do that, good luck. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.